Welcome to my world history notes, where I read from the book I wrote to teach world history to homeschoolers. A Bible believer looks at world history. You can find it on lulu.com, amazon.com, or at the Bible Baptist bookstore, or just follow me here is fine. So I'm going to start in the time frame where we're talking about. I'm going to look around the world and just some brief notes. The period of time in India. This period of time saw squabbles in the Muslim states and Hindu uprisings, with Babur, a descendant of Genghis Khan, and Tamerlane conquering North India and founding the Mughal Empire, named after the Mongols from which he had descended. His grandson, Akbar, is thought of as one of the great warriors of Indian history. In South India, the Hindu Vijay Nagar Empire saw its greatest glory during this time, the 1500s. In the late 1500s, the Japanese invaded Korea but were finally repulsed. Japan had a leader named Hideyoshi who planned on taking over all of East Asia, invading China through Korea and setting up his Japanese court at Peking. It didn't work, however, and he died in the attempt to hold Korea after his fleet was annihilated by Chinese Admiral Yi Song-sin. Siam, now called Thailand, invaded Cambodia late in the century during a 10-year war with Burma. Indonesia and Malaya suffered under conquest for Portugal by Albuquerque, who I mentioned before. The Dutch arrived in 1595 to rival the Portuguese for power. In West Africa, Alonso I of Congo ruled from 1506 to 1543 and caused the Christianization of many of his subjects. Eventually, in 1570, the King of Congo would have to appeal to Portugal for military help to prevent invasions from neighboring tribes. The Songhai Empire reached its peak in the 1500s, but was destroyed at the end of the century by an invasion from Morocco of Spanish and Portuguese mercenaries equipped with firearms, which were unheard of in Africa's interior. Small arms like the arquebusser and large cannon came into their own during this period, revolutionizing land warfare. Ironclad ships like the ones manned by Admiral Yi Song-sin and the great Spanish galleons revolutionized naval warfare. Speaking of war, martial arts schools began to be quite prevalent in European cities at this time as well. It became commonplace practice for gentlemen to learn skills for pleasure, sport, and education that had once been essential just for survival. Two very informative books about the study of hand to hand personal combat are Sidney Anglo's The Martial Arts of Renaissance Europe and Medieval Swordsmanship by John Clements. The ancient sport of boxing reappeared in 16th century England under the control of the elite sporting clubs, but it was not until the 18th century that modern boxing truly began to evolve into the sport it is today. Another informative book that covers the medieval period and the Renaissance is English Castles by Adrian Pettifer. Now, you should know from all the things, the last few sessions we've talked about, you should familiarize yourself, be conversant in world history. I'm going to ask you some questions. In Roman Catholic Spain of the late medieval period, what was the name given to anyone who had converted from Judaism or Islam to Roman Catholicism, with the name was also being applied to their ascendants? What treaty permanently divided the world between the spheres of Spanish and Portuguese influence? Which Holy Roman Emperor bankrupted Spain with his purchase of the imperial title and 27 years of constant warfare? Name three explorer adventurers in the areas of exploration for which they are famous. What rebirth of the knowledge of pagan antiquity was fueled in part by the enormous profits of the slave trade? Name three important people of the period mentioned in question 5 and what their accomplishments were. This can simply be the family name. And finally, name the failed effort to conquer England and destroy English Protestantism by Catholic Spain. Next time, we're going to talk about the Reformation and Counter-Reformation. We're going to begin with that. So I hope you'll follow me, and I look forward to talking to you again.